Welcome to our all-new series, The Carnivore Kitchen, where we will indulge you in amazing meals and delicacies that are none other than carnivore. Where our presenter is none other than Shanna Richardson, owner and operator of the Lion's Share Meal Prep and Catering Company. I'm your host, Dr. Victoria Munoz. You're not going to want to miss this episode. Stay tuned. Hey guys, we're here again at the Carnivore Kitchen. Shannon is going to be baking for us a carnivore pizza.
Yes, a carnivore pizza today. The crust was inspired by another YouTuber with the last name of Luna. And so here we're going to go ahead and just get started. It's got absolutely no carbs. So here we go.
You know my role. I'm going to watch and then I'm going to taste it.
Absolutely. She's my taster, my professional taster.
That's right.
So okay, so the first ingredient will be our carnivore breadcrumbs, which of course is pork rinds that are ground up, or you can go ahead and you can buy them, I believe, at your local supermarket already ground up. But for budget's sake, we're going to do it this. So 3/4 of a cup. We're just going to go ahead and they're already prepared. Okay. And then we're going to do, it says a cup, and there's another recipe out there that calls for about 1.5 cups of cheese. I don't like to use as much cheese. It might change the consistency of the crust just a little bit, but I tend to use just a little bit less. So about 1 cup is what I prefer to use. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that in. This is already pre-shredded. It's also mozzarella. You can use any cheese you want, but I find mozzarella works best. Creamy texture as well as good melting capability. And then 1 egg, of course. The egg doesn't have to necessarily be at room temperature. It can be cold. And then, we're also going to use approximately 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. A little bit, maybe just a little more. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to gently combine this to begin with. I can get it to combine. And then once this is combined, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add it. We're going to go ahead and put it in the microwave. So I have a microwave safe dish here, obviously, in a bowl, glass bowl, and we're going to microwave it. Normally, we tend to stay away from the microwave. However, the microwave at 90 seconds tends to be a really good amount of time to make the cheese nice and melty and everything to combine and make a good crust. However, we are going to go ahead and start this at 30 seconds go and stir it at each 30 seconds that lapses. So we're going to just go ahead and do that now. And then, okay, I'm going to go ahead and move it to the microwave. And then we will do this at 30 seconds each. And every time we do it at 30 seconds, we're going to go ahead and give it a nice, good stir to combine it really, really well. It's not going to look all that great, but the cheese is going to start to melt and become kind of like my daughter calls it a pole. So it's like that nice pole, that cheesy pole. And then hopefully by the 3rd time through, it'll be a nice consistency and create a good dough. So almost done. Okay. And of course, the time might vary slightly based on microwave. Some wattages are different. If you notice, there's like it's starting to become like this cheesy pole to it and it's starting to combine. And I don't tend to add any seasonings to this. However, you could add seasonings if you'd like, Italian seasoning, whatever your stomach can or whatever your dietary restrictions can abide by on those guidelines. I usually add it though after this second 30 seconds, second or even the 3rd one, like right at the end where I'm mixing it and I'm forming it into a better dough. So, okay, so this will be step 2. Another 30 seconds. And as that's going, we're going to create, when we create this dish today for this carnivore pizza, what we're going to do is a crispy prosciutto with some mozzarella on top, as well as a nice hollandaise sauce. I know it sounds a little different, but I think that the flavors will play nice with the salty prosciutto, the creaminess of the mozzarella, as well as the creamy and fattiness of the hollandaise as well. So while we're waiting for that second and third, we'll just go ahead and we'll open up our 8 ounces of butter and just kind of let it, it's already softened. I've already allowed it to get a little bit soft. We're going to let it just kind of open up to the air and kind of get a little bit warmer. And we're going to check on that. Second time through, excuse me. I'm going to stir. And if you can see, it's already really getting to a good cheesy consistency. So right here, I might actually, it's also very hot. I might also at this point go ahead and add in our seasonings at this juncture, but I tend to not add anything. The crust isn't really what I'm going for flavor. This is just the base for the prosciutto and the hollandaise. It's a vehicle really for that. So, but it is coming out nice. Smells nice and porky though. All right, there's that. We're gonna do one more time. All right, so 30 more seconds there. And then we will go ahead and I'm gonna take some water here. And once we're done with that bowl in the microwave, I'm gonna take this water and I'm gonna heat it up for about a minute. And what that's gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into this metal bowl here. It's going to warm the bowl through because we want our eggs and our butter to be nice and warm when we emulsify. That's coming up. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in here for about a minute. It doesn't have to be hot or boiling. It just has to be pretty warm, just to warm the bowl through. All right, so at this point, we're gonna mix this up real good. And as you can see, there's even more of a pull. It's starting to look more like a real dough. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put it on our pan here. I presently have an 1/8 sized sheet pan, which is 1/8 the size of a full. And I've also lined it presently with some parchment paper. And what we'll do is we're just going to dump it out and then we're going to spread it. And so you want to make sure the choice is yours whether you want to oil your pan or not underneath the parchment. I just find that the parchment paper tends to allow it to release a little bit better from the pan. As you can tell, my pan is well loved. I cook a lot. I enjoy it. Now, since the item is just kind of really hot right now, I really don't want to touch it with my hands, but if you waited a few minutes or so for it a little bit longer, you might get, you could actually go ahead and just use your hands or your knuckles. I tend to, but for the sake of time, we're just going to use the spatula. Also, for my personal kitchen and I were feeding my family, I would definitely do it with my hands. My family isn't as picky. And then you want to try and get it as even as possible so that you can get a really good bake and an even bake. And then what we're going to do now, once it's evenly placed in the pan like that, we're going to go ahead and take this in a preheated 425-degree oven, and we're going to put it in there for approximately 8 minutes. Okay. Go ahead and take this. See, it doesn't have to be really hot. It's just kind of warmed through. We're just going to add it to the bowl for a minute or two, just to kind of get it a little bit warm since it is a metal bowl. It doesn't even take that long. Okay, and while that's going on, I will go ahead. I think I'm going to use an 8. So we have 8 ounces here. Because we have an 1/8 of a sheet pan, I'm going to use approximately half, which is about that much. You can use salted or unsalted. For this, I have unsalted so that we can salt to taste. We'll go ahead and we'll put this in there. We're going to melt this down. You can melt this down on either a pan or the microwave, but for the sake of time right now, I'm going to go ahead and do it in the microwave. Choice is yours. And I'm going to actually do 15 seconds at a go just to prevent it from spattering. And then our bowl is nice and warm, so we can go ahead and get rid of our water. Okay. Check and see how we're doing. Maybe another 15 seconds and we should be good on the butter. So maybe about 30 seconds, but just to prevent the spattering, I do it 15 seconds at a go if it's in the microwave. Then I have here some already pre-done eggs. I've got 4 egg yolks where I've separated the egg whites and the egg yolks. We need about 4 of them. And then it doesn't have to be at room temperature necessarily, but just definitely not right from the fridge, because we're going to go ahead and put it right here into the bowl. Okay. And then we are going to add a little bit of white wine vinegar. We need the acid to help emulsify or create, since we're adding fat and fat, we want to emulsify or combine the 2 ingredients together via whisking, and we need an agent of like vinegar, of like a sourness or a bitterness in order to do that. So I'm just going to add a little bit. I'm going to add about a half of my capful, which is about a teaspoon. Do you know that it's about 2 to 3? It's about a tablespoon for your entire cap, so maybe 1.5 teaspoons. So go ahead and I'll add that, and then we will move back over here. And as you can see, our butter is nice and warmed through. Some people do use it and clarify it. They can use the milk solids at the bottom. Some people don't. It just depends on what you can tolerate. And we'll go ahead. We're going to start the emulsification here. Bear with me. Okay, you can use a blender. You can use a whisk. You can do it. They sometimes have a double boiler method just to keep the bowl warm. You can also use just a towel to keep it warm. I'm just going to go ahead and start with this. And you're going to want to mix. It's going to take just a hot minute. Hopefully these guys will break up pretty quick. There we go. It's going to take a minute. And what it's going to do, it's going to create, it's going to get everywhere. It's going to create a froth. It's going to get all nice and frothy. And then it's going to get lighter in color. Now, I have noticed, I know people will say no, but I've noticed in my observations of making hollandaise in the past, white eggs with the white shell, regular large eggs, they tend to get lighter with the yolks as you mix. This one does. These were brown eggs, organic, pasture raised. And it still tends to stay a little bit more on the yellow side rather than lightening up. So you really want to just pay attention. The more foamy it gets and the thickness that might be desired, this takes a hot minute here. Patience is key. It does take a minute or two. And obviously in the blender, it's a little bit more of a violent reaction to the blades, so it'll happen a little faster. But here, if you notice, as I turn it, you can see that the yolks are starting to thicken, starting to look kind of like a custard as I do this. I'm just going to keep just a little bit longer here. All right. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and add the butter slowly. So I add it on nice slow. And we're just going to add it ever so slowly, like maybe a tablespoon or so at a time. You want to mix it around. Okay, once it becomes incorporated, you can add some more. And you want to add this as slowly as you can. Otherwise, you might break your sauce. Now, if you happen to break your sauce, it's not the end of the world. You can go ahead and finish adding it, which it just means that you might have added your butter too soon. So as a result, you'll just add a little bit of hot water to the mix, to a bowl, and then you'll take your entire mix of your hollandaise and slowly, very slowly, add it to the water as you mix it the same, just like this. And it should fix the sauce. And we're just going to continue to add slow and slow and slow. It takes a little bit of extra time. When I was in culinary school, I can't even tell you how many times we made this sauce in my home. We made it so many times that my children can make it off the top of their heads. And anytime they feel like they want to be a little bit bougie or impress their friends, this is what they do. And I'll tell you, all of my kids, my youngest is 18, my oldest is 25, and they just love this sauce, and everybody is so amazed by it. Usually it's used with eggs Benedict. So in the non-carnivore world, it's got your eggs Benedict, it's got your English muffin, and it's got a poached egg, which in and of itself is an art form. And then it has some Canadian bacon with it. So I kind of took that idea and created this pizza. So hopefully everything coming together. And if you can tell, there's like a nice thickness that comes along with it. So I thinned it out a little bit more. And I'm gonna have, let's see if you can tell, there's still just a little bit of that fat at the bottom there. So not fully incorporated. There we go. So we've got this beautiful velvety sauce. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. It's a little bit thin, but that's all right. I think we're good. I think we'll be okay. So if you look, there's like a nice velvety texture to it. And as I scoop through it, it has a nice consistency to it. So we'll go ahead and let me see if I can get got a really nice, it might not have a perfect nappe quite yet. So it's a little thin, but she's good. And then what we'll do is we'll just add a little bit of salt because she really doesn't have a lot of flavor other than the butter. And you can go ahead and stir it in whatever flavoring seasonings you like. Some people do a tarragon, so it can be like a béarnaise sauce. Some people add some balsamic vinegar rather than the white wine vinegar. I find that it can be a little overpowering. Sometimes it can also hurt your stomach. So there we are. So there's our sauce, okay? You don't necessarily have to use all the butter. You can do it to taste. Then go ahead and move on over here. We're going to go ahead and clean up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and hopefully the crust will be ready. We can assemble our pizza, put it back in the oven, and then garnish with our sauce, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, so 8 minutes is up. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to check our lovely item here in the oven, our crust. Okay, and we're going to take it out of the oven, and we're going to set it down on the counter. There we go. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to dress it. We're going to leave it, we're going to let it rest a couple of minutes. Let it cool down just enough so that it has a moment to just kind of sit, make sure it solidifies and comes together nicely. And then once that is done, we're going to go ahead and add our toppings, which is mozzarella cheese. And I say measure with your heart if you love it. If you don't, you can also add Parmesan cheese. You can add sharp cheese, jack cheese, whatever kind of cheese that you'd like. That will complement whatever toppings you're doing. But in this case, because it's such a benign cheese, it's very creamy, very soft, mild cheese. We're going to add some saltiness with our prosciutto. I've gone ahead and taken about 4 ounces of prosciutto, and I I've cut it in half, and then I've like just diced it up. It doesn't dice up as nice as, like, let's say just regular ham. So they come up in little crumbly pieces. I like it like that, so that way you're not dragging, like you're already dragging the cheese off the pizza. You don't want to drag everything off the pizza, including the toppings, and it all just falls everywhere. So I prefer to have it just nicely chopped up. And then once we were done with that, we'll go ahead and pop it back in the oven for between 6 and 8 minutes until nice and bubbly. And then we will go ahead and add the sauce. I know it seems counterintuitive. Normally we add the sauce, which then we add the cheese, and then we add the toppings to create a glue. But I think that to cook the sauce in the oven on the pizza might curdle it. So in the essence of not destroying the beautiful hollandaise we've just made and breaking it, we're going to go ahead and do that. So I think we're okay now. I think we can go ahead and add our cheese. So, and you can add, like I said, you can add as much as you want. I have about a cup and a half here. There's no way I'm going to use a lot of that. This is a treat for us, so we don't really eat a whole lot of cheese. But you never know. Sometimes my family comes over, my kids and stuff, and with their friends or their other family members and significant others. And so they like a lot of cheese. So in this instance, we're just going to do a little bit, just kind of enough to cover the cheese again, or to cover the pizza crust again. There we go. And then I like prosciutto. I'm going to add it. I'm going to add as much as I possibly can to this pizza. And it's just a bunch of crumbly pieces. I just want to make sure that every little, you want to make sure you pull it apart. And it is easily pulled apart as well. The slices are thin enough before you cut them that you could realistically pull them apart. But like I said, I really do like a smaller, crumblier meat, kind of like a sausage, but bacon. So you could use bacon bits if you wanted to, if you didn't have prosciutto on hand, for a little bit of a less expensive option. Sometimes prosciutto can get a little bit expensive. It is a treat, very salty. Must be made a very specific way. So, all right, let's just add the last few items of these. And we'll go ahead and we'll pop the sucker back in the oven. See, it's a little bit not. And at this point, if you can tolerate maybe a different type of garnish or something, if you wanted to add, if you were doing like a Mexican style pizza, you could do cilantro or something, but or even like a parsley. But I also recommend doing that after you've pulled it out of the oven. So we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to pop it right back in the oven again at the same amount, 425. And we're going to put it in for, I would say 5 or 6 minutes at the most, just until it gets bubbly, golden brown, and delicious on top, and the cheese becomes nicely melted and everything's cohesive. I'm going to clean the rest of this up, and then we'll be ready to pop it out of the oven and serve it. Okay, our time is up. We have our sauce ready to go, and our pizza's just about ready to come out of the oven. So let's go ahead and have a look. Okay, and as you can tell, it's really ready to go here. So we're going to go ahead and pop it up. Put it on our counter. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our sauce to it right away. You can add as little or as much as you want. Need a little bit of sauce. And then we'll go ahead and we'll plate that guy on up. And we can either this out of the way here. And so there's our pizza. And at this point in time, you can go ahead and you can garnish if you'd like, or you can just go ahead and slice the pizza up. And we'll just see how well she slices up. She's a little warm. And because it's cheesy, obviously it's going to be a little bit different than a regular pizza crust, but I don't know. I can't tell the difference. And then we'll go ahead and we'll slice her up one more time again. And there we are. And you can continue to slice her up, but I think for just us and our taste testing, I think we'll just do the 2. There we go. And then we can go ahead and give her a taste and see.
All right, guys, so this is a part I've been waiting for because being carnivore and then keto before I went carnivore, I haven't had pizza in ages. And so we are going to let you know exactly what we think of this. But first, I have a gift for Shannon.
Love a gift.
Being that it's December and we just had Christmas, I thought I'd put it in a Christmas bag. But this is in celebration of her new venture.
I'm so excited. It's a toad. No. What is it? What is it? Oh, how cute! Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. It's really that's okay. I'm not gonna lie. Look at her.
She can hang on the wall if she wants. She
No, I love it. I love it. Actually, I'm just
Chef Shannon.
There we go.
Chef Shannon.
There we
At your service.
There we go.
Yep.
See? Look.
All right.
All right. Now let's just hope that my pizza lives up to it. Of course it will.
Oh yeah, it will.
Of course it will. So, all right.
I haven't tasted anything of hers yet that wasn't like, mwah. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yes.
So I got the big one.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Farewell, please. Oh, wow.
That's not bad.
It's good.
No bad.
Just the right amount of saltiness. It's got flavor. And keep in mind, she didn't add any spices to this. Still very flavorful.
You can eat well and have your little addictions too. So I think you can't have pizza.
And if you think eating carnivore is boring, we're trying to prove that that is not the case.
It's not the case. And I like that it's them.
Now, could you possibly make a thick crust?
Yes, you can. You can make it. It's just to the desired amount. Pardon me, once I finish eating. Yes, you can. Just depending on the size of the container that you want, you just go ahead and you roll it out or pound it out or flatten it out to the desired level of thickness that you want, and you just cook it accordingly. So where it might be a little bit thicker, maybe instead of 8 minutes, it would be 10 minutes. You just want to pay attention to it and see if maybe if it needs 10 minutes, that as long as it gets brown around the edges and creates that nice crust, you're good to go.
Yeah, this is very good. Very good. You wouldn't even know it's carnivore. So it tastes just like pizza, except better.
Right. So yeah, because it's not bad for you.
That's right.
So
it's not going to fuck up your gut. Okay.
Amen to that. Amen to that for sure. So
all right. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us, and join us next week for another episode of Carnivore Kitchen. Down in the show notes below, you'll have all Shannon's details. And until next time, take care.